and welcome or welcome back. My name is V, and today I would like to talk about FF14, of course, but hopefully in a little bit of a different light than just sitting there and complaining about the MSQ and Wuklamot and whatnot. I've been feeling rather nostalgic these days, and there are things that I miss about this game, both as a content creator and as a player. So today, as we are anticipating the 7.2 patch, I would like to talk about some things that used to really make me happy when playing the game, streaming the game, making content, in hopes that I can hopefully one day contribute to feeling this way again, maybe seeing some of these things in game again, and just having the kind of fun that I used to have. If you're new here on the channel, make sure to subscribe, leave the video a like for some good luck, and most importantly, let me know in the comments what it is that you miss from Final Fantasy XIV, whether that was in the last expansion, Realm Reborn, or somewhere in between. What is it that you're nostalgic for? When it comes to me, first and foremost, both as a player and as a creator, I really miss the community. These days when I log into the game and look at my friends list, none of my friends are playing the game, and even though I can see people hanging around, I mostly don't know these people, and it just makes me feel like Eorzea is more of a lonely place than it used to be. What really made me feel like the community is alive is those little community events in Limsa or Gridania or wherever. Maybe it's just my bad luck that I don't get to see those anymore, but I remember the community concerts, people role-playing, dressing up, dancing, bards playing their instruments, Mikotes standing there wiggling their ears and people petting them. All these fun things that used to happen, and unfortunately I just don't see any of that anymore. So even though it could just be me, it could be that my friends are not playing the game right now, I feel like the problem is a little bigger than that. These days, even with a little bit of a bigger streaming community than I used to have back then, I fear that if I wanted to go into a raid or even do some casual roulettes or anything FF14 related, that it would be very difficult to find people who are subscribed to FF14 and who are at the ready and willing to go into these things because they might have not been playing the game in months. Another thing that I really miss, especially as a player, is that emotional connection to the MSQ. I remember that some of the MSQ sections I was doing off stream, some on stream, some I was recording, but without fail, I would always anticipate going into the next MSQ section because something would always happen that would make me feel like now is a good time to stop and wait for the next day to continue. I felt like I was reading a book back in the day when I was playing through Shadowbringers or even Endwalker, Heavensward, and even Realm Reborn. I'm a huge book nerd, and Final Fantasy XIV used to make me feel like a book that I'm playing through games. I love both books and games, and FF14 used to give me that feeling of experiencing both. With Dawntrail, unfortunately, I realized how I'm actually feeling about Dawntrail when I finished and when I started editing my videos, and realizing that in some of the cutscenes that were supposed to be meaningful and important, I actually caught myself snoozing a little bit and shaking my head and doing all these things that you do when you're really bored in class. And that's not the kind of player or content creator that I want to be. I was a little ashamed going through these videos, and there are even some cutscenes that I admittedly edited out in a way that my face isn't visible because this new expansion made me feel insecure about my own face and my display and demeanor in front of the camera, because as much as I wanted to try and have fun with the expansion and I had great company and really wanted to enjoy the new MSQ, I was just bored out of my mind and I didn't feel connected to the story at all. It just suddenly felt like someone else's story, and I'm not always looking to be the center character and at the end of the day, I think I enjoy other stories in the game itself a lot more than mine. I wanted to feel like I matter somewhat. This way, I feel like the story would have happened in the exact same way, even if I wasn't there. I mean, sure, someone had to stop Zralja and Sphene, but I feel like any sort of average hero who showed up and decided that's enough, we need some answers, or we need to deal with them, or we need to figure out what's happening with the dome. Someone could have easily done that, and they didn't really need the Warrior of Light to come to the rescue. We could have just been sitting in the tavern eating our tacos and waiting for things to get resolved. And even when we were there, and do remember that we saved the world multiple times, we still witnessed carnage in Tuliolal when it was attacked, and we were helpless to do anything rather than just follow Vuklamat around, who was having this moment of, I guess, raw determination that never came to bear any fruits. Even though the cutscene itself was good and it was promising that her character changed a little bit, I felt like with the new day it was the same old Vuklamat, who didn't even bear any traumas from losing her father. Instead, she was a little more determined to become the hero that her world deserves, but she never ended up being one. But I did promise that this video was not going to be my rant about Vuklamat, so I'm going to stop right here and I'm going to talk about the things that really do matter to me. As someone who used to play World of Warcraft and some other MMORPGs, I'm a big collectionaire, and I love going around collecting rare mounts and minions and companions and whatnot. And you can tell by the content on my YouTube channel that I used to collect a lot of mounts and a lot of these things that I would turn into guides, and people used to really appreciate them. Nowadays, I go into Eorzea, and even though these options are still there and there are a ton of mounts that I could be collecting, achievements that I could be grinding, I can't stop but ask myself, why? Why am I doing this? There is just no curiosity in me anymore, or desire for exploration, or even just the desire to see these achievement points growing or anything of the sort. And it's gotten to the point that I've been missing these limited time events to get a glamour piece or a minion or a mount or something like that, which never used to happen, because I used to be the person who would drag my friends into these special time events because God forbid we lose out on a companion or an orchestrion role or something like that. And nowadays I just don't do that. I see that there's an event and I promise myself that I will do the event, and I break that promise to myself every time, even at the cost of not getting something that I wanted to collect. And this is the passion that I used to have for FF14. Now I just don't have it, and I desperately want to be in touch with the game, to feel caught up and to follow these little limited time events, and when it's time to grind, to put everything else aside and just do that. But I'm just not feeling it anymore, and that really makes me sad. I'm also really missing the Scions, and this is a huge complaint that came from pretty much everyone who I've spoken to about the MSQ. The Scions are there, but they just feel like mute standbyers, and they've never felt like more of a sidekick who just doesn't really do anything, and they're just there. I feel like their models were used as some sort of a reminder to the emotional connection that we used to have with Urianger, with Tancred, with Yestola, and even with Kryl, which is unbelievable to me, since Kryl was promised to be this big star of Dawntrail. I miss them. I miss knowing what the twins are up to, and even Endwalker, that was dealing with this potential end of the world. They still managed to tell a story about the Scions in a way that feels good and acceptable for the MSQ as well. They told the story about their complicated relationship with their father. We got to meet their mommy, and everything was just made really special. And I don't want to spoil the side quests. And by the way, when it comes to side quests, I did feel motivated enough to go and clear the maps of Endwalker. There is an incredible side quest where you can meet a parent of one of the scions and discover a very, very sad, traumatic story that I have no intention of spoiling. But if you're going through Charlene and doing these quests, make sure to go there and do every single one of them, and when you get to that quest you will know exactly which one I'm talking about. It will probably make you cry if you've played since The Realm Reborn. When it comes to pure gameplay, I'm really missing the extra trials. And I've noticed this as a player who started playing very late. So I started my FF14 journey somewhere at the beginning of Shadowbringers, and I played through Realm Reborn, Heavensward, Stormblood, and all these expansions all at once, and I felt like there was so much content, especially when it comes to the side optional trials. So Realm Reborn had a few. Heavensward had the Warring Triad, I think that's what it's called. Stormblood had the story of the Four Lords. Shadowbringers had the Sorrow of Verlet, which I ended up doing pretty late, but I was just really, really impressed by it. And Walker, on the other hand, had this one, the Gilded Eorzea, I think, and now we are in Dawntrail, and we still don't know if we're gonna be getting any of the side trials. So I feel like over time we've been getting less and less and less of those, and I feel like those at least were something fun to do. As extremes, as just things to do, mounts to collect when the MSQ is over. And for the past now a few years, we haven't gotten a series of side trials, and I guess some people say that Endwalker post patches could have been made into a side trial story that would be reminiscent of FF4, and something else could have taken the post patches place. This was still fine, we still got plenty of bosses, but they were all mandatory and none of them were optional raids that we could go into and get those additional mounts and just have a little bit more fun that isn't the MSQ. Similarly, the relics suffered the same fate, and I'm not some big relics collector. I wish I was, and I wish I was there around the time of the Realm Reborn and Heavensward and Boja and Eureka and all these places where you could collect relics and armor and all this stuff. I wasn't there in time, and when I was doing my MSQ, everyone and their mother was in Boja grinding the relics, and even though it was a grind, it gave you something to do. And as a new FF14 creator, once the Endwalker rolled out, I was very, very motivated to make a nice series of the relics guides. I really wanted to do that, and then I just ended up being disappointed when I realized that apart from going through the Hildebrand story, you only had to collect tomes. And I realized that not only can I not make content out of it because it's been made obsolete, I also as a player felt like there was no, I guess, no urgency and no bragging rights whatsoever, and no importance apart from the item level itself to do these relics. It wasn't made to be a journey. It was just a side thing where when you do the dungeons, you turn in tomes and you get an additional relic. It was boring. From the content creator standpoint, I do miss making Final Fantasy XIV exclusive content. I started streaming as a Hearthstone streamer, so I went from a card game into an MMORPG, started playing World of Warcraft, and I came to Eorzea as a World of Warcraft refugee, and I had a fantastic time getting to know the world and the community, and realizing that I might have a space for myself and for my YouTube channel, and for a while it was going really well. But then I just felt like everything fell off after the Endwalker MSQ was done, and no matter what I did, and I'd like to believe that I started making better content, more quality content, more thought through content than when I started my FF14 journey, I felt like I just couldn't bring my audience back because people were rapidly losing interest. Now, I could have always leaned into drama, talked about Lalafell chairs or arguments between this and that content creator, or one went wrong with this or that patch or whatever, but I just wanted to make my little guides. I wanted to continue a Gold Saucer series, do guides on these long forgotten things, like the continuation of my Orchestrion role guides, dying chocobos, and all these obscure things. They ended up appreciating these videos, and I wanted to make so many more of them. I have a list of about 70 videos and ideas that I wanted to commit to and make them into guide series for very particular things in FF14 that I used to be passionate about. But now I feel like if I put a few days into research, into doing, and then into telling you how to do it, that it just wouldn't be seen in the same way as it was a few years ago. And I just stopped with my guides. Guides are something that I, at the end of the day, want to be making as a content creator. It makes me happy, but I just feel like with FF14, it really makes no sense. And some things in 14 were made so easy that there's no point in making the guides. There's no puzzles on how to get mounts or minions or anything of the sort. There's vendors, and all you need to do is get a currency and buy yourself a mount or grind a trial. And I feel like I've explored my fair share of puzzles and difficult things that you do to get a reward in game, and now I just sat here looking at the game becoming easier and easier, and the content ideas are just drying out. So out of desperation at that point, because at the time I was able to be a full-time content creator who lived off Final Fantasy XIV content just on YouTube. I wasn't even streaming on Twitch. I had to turn towards other avenues. I took a massive risk and a massive hit developing my variety channel, my first other channel, V-Plays, where I started playing other variety games like Nier, Persona, and reacting to anime and other things, because I realized that if I'm not playing Final Fantasy XIV, and even if I am, that things are just not working out on this channel anymore, and I can't be an FF14 content creator anymore. It was good while it lasted, but that time has ended, and it was time for me to figure out what to do next. And some people were successful at that, but also a lot of my friends who used to play and stream during that time, they stopped making content, and that's a sad realization. But it is what it is. What I miss most about myself and what the game used to make me be and do is being a creator with a positive attitude. And we have to face that positivity is not something that normally goes noticed or even goes well on social media, on YouTube channels. When you make a gaming video about something that's really awesome, oh, I'm so happy about this update, this looks great, this looks amazing, normally people aren't as interested as when you make a video like my last two videos, where I'm talking from the bottom of my heart about the things that I think went wrong. And that also makes me really sad. I feel like, in a way, what's happening with Final Fantasy XIV, even though it's helping me make content that I right now, unfortunately, feel passionate about, it's not the kind of content that I want to be making at all times, because I feel like I'm an optimistic person. At the bottom of the core of my being, I'm a person with a positive attitude. I'm not a big complainer, and I just want to play games and enjoy them. I've played FF14 on the lowest possible settings at one point, and I've never had more fun in FF14. I don't care about the graphics, I don't care about any of these things. The game could be laggy, some things could be buggy, but I don't care, for as long as the story is good, for as long as we get at least some voice acting in the game that feels decent and relatable. and close to our hearts, but Dawntrail has just failed with all of these things, and now I feel like something bad has woken up within me, and I'm just sat here rambling instead of talking about what my favorite features of the new 7.1 patch are. I haven't posted any of the guides on 7.1 minions or mounts or anything that I wanted to do, because who cares? I used to do these guides on how to get ready for a new patch, what the new gear will be, what level you need to be, where to get your gear, where you can get all these new collectibles, accessories, and everything. And for the first few days of the patch, I would just be on the hunt for all these new things, and now I'm just not even playing the game anymore. I'm just sat on my ass talking about the things that I'm missing or grieving or mourning or that I'm reminiscent about. And it's not the content that I originally was set out to make, but here we are. The whole situation with FF14, even though I shouldn't have expected that I was just going to stay an FF14 creator for years and years and years and years, it did hurt my growing YouTube channel, because I thought that I had a vision for it, and when things started to fall off and people started to kind of lose interest in the game, and I had to turn to other avenues as well to try and just keep myself above water, I realized that I have no more vision for my channel. So my channel turned into an MMO channel because I came back to World of Warcraft, started playing some other MMORPGs like Star Wars: The Old Republic, and I just realized that I have to detach myself from Eorzea, from the content creator point of view, and explore things that not only people want to see, but the things that I'm also interested about. Right now, I am somewhat interested in what's going to happen with FF14, but I have nowhere near close the anticipation that I used to have for the future patches. And that's something that I really miss. I miss being excited. I miss waiting for these live letters and watching them with the community, and wondering if we're gonna get a trailer, if we're gonna see something new. And nowadays, I just feel like that's something that I want to keep to myself. This time around, I'm going to be watching the live letter on stream, and I'll probably post the footage here on the YouTube channel. If you don't follow me on Twitch, which you should, by the way, you can find the link in the description of this video. And if you would like to watch the live letter with us, you can, but I'm probably just going to approach it with very cautious optimism at best. Think that I can be called optimistic at this point. I'm just disappointed, and as much as I would like to be sunshine and rainbows about FF14, Dawntrail, if anything, made me sick of sunshine and rainbows and blind belief in everything working out in the end, and the world being a good place after all, and all these fake positive affirmations that, beautiful as they are, they're just not realistic. And just because it's a new patch, it doesn't mean that it will be good. It doesn't mean that people will enjoy it, and it doesn't mean that me sitting there on Friday will give me anything to be excited about. And I'm going to watch it because at this point I feel like it's my responsibility to do so. But I would lie if I said that I'm hyped for it or that I'm expecting this or that. I will make another video after the live letter and I'll discuss it a little bit, and we'll see what's up after Friday. But I don't have my hopes up. Let me know if you do. I'd like to hear what you think will happen on Friday, what updates we're gonna get, and what you're hoping for at the end of the day. That's gonna be it for me for today. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet and you enjoy FF14 and other MMORPGs, just make sure to subscribe, leave the video a like, and let me know your thoughts in comments. What is it that you're missing about Final Fantasy XIV as a player, maybe even as a content creator? Thank you so much for watching, and have a lovely rest of your day. Take care, and bye-bye.